Hey guys, hold on a second. Trying to get everybody ready. Come on in when you can. We'll wait a minute. Give people a chance to come here. I got financial guru Jana Woodhouse, Jana B Woodhouse, ready to go live with another gem on finances. The Queen of Green is ready to roll. So come on in, peoples. There you go. What's up, Mona?
Hi, Mona.
Let's get a few people in. Happy birthday, Mona, once again. Great birthday party.
Happy birthday, Mona.
Tell a friend, bring a friend. Wait for a couple of people to jump on. Yana got a couple of tips for you. I know it's Saturday night. Everybody's getting ready to go party, or hopefully going to the JP show in a minute. Getting ready to rock for that. Yeah, Saturday JP. Grown Folks Comedy's coming up in a minute, so. I'll let Yana rock. Mona says thank you. We're ready to rock this out. Give it like about 30 more seconds. Let people come on in. We'll go live until my phone dies. Okay, Mona. Okay. I'm going to the 8, Mona. I'm going to the 8. Cool. All right, Yana. Let's just get started. People will jump in when they jump in. All right, y'all. Jan's getting ready to talk. Listen up. Tell a friend. Tag a friend in it. All right, here we go. Okay, Jan.
Okay, I just wanted to not let another weekend go by that at least we didn't have some financial tips. And so, of course, this is Jana B. Woodhouse sharing some Wealth Nation financial information. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about estate planning and insurance again. Now, most people think that they don't have an estate, and I understand we don't have a lot, but just think about it. If you closed your eyes, what happens to all your stuff? What happens to your bank accounts? Who's going to take care of your body? Because by law, someone has to do that, or you wind up in Potter's Field with an unmarked grave. And in these days, I hate to say it, it's so serious out here that so many people are dying without wills and families put together that they end up in Potter's Field. And it's so overflowing that they are trying to locate people's families so they don't have that situation. Not only that, but they used to have it where people would just donate their body to science. Science has too much now. The hospitals and stuff have enough cadavers to basically they don't need any more. So what I thought I'd speak on is the estate planning. What happens? Where is your stuff going? And the first thing I think that I want to bring about is the fact of some basic questions. One is, are you comfortable with the state deciding what happens to you when you and for you and your most important possessions when you die? Because if you die without a will or instructions, that's what happens. The state comes in and they get paid. If there's no money at all, then people have to gather some to be able to get things done for you. Should something happen to you, have you specified who will take care of your children? Very important. If you have minor children and you have not designated a guardian, then the state will do so. But what's even worse is that if you have designated the beneficiary on your pension, your accounts, your life insurance to minor children, the person who is the guardian may be good with children but not so good with money. So in respects to it, you need to identify sometimes two, or like what we have a checks and balance in our country, why not have a check and balance for your living situation for your children? So have a few people who are on or have the ability to be a guardian and also be able to handle your wealth or what you're leaving. That's where sometimes trust come into play, because if it's for underage children, there should be a trust fund set up for them. And it doesn't have to be a lot of money, but it has to have the designation of where that money must go. Because if not, such as I have an example, one of my clients, her family member died and left the money to an underage minor. To a minor. And what is happening is that the courts have determined where the money should go. So her pension, her life insurance, all that money is going to the child, but the child will not be able to access it till she is 18 years old. The guardian will be able to access a portion of the funds that have been designated to be put into a bank account. Now, y'all know what bank accounts are paying right now, so that money is not going to grow much. But if it had been designated that it be placed in a trust, it could be invested and take part of some of this great market that we're having right now. But instead, this money is going to sit in the bank account, and every time she moves money, she has to, as a guardian, identify where that money went. If she needs to make a big purchase, she has to petition the court to get the money out. Sometimes that's good, sometimes not so good. So you have to put yourself in position of saying, I have minor children. Now that might change once they get older, unless they're disabled. You need to put things in order. Also, if something should happen to you where you can't speak for yourself, we call that a health proxy and a living trust. In that respect, if you can't speak for yourself, someone has to be designated to speak for you, and they can't make an emotional decision. You have had to at least discuss with them exactly what you want and have a do not resuscitate if you so choose not to have a do not resuscitate signed. And be aware that when you have a do not resuscitate signed, that means that can be very traumatizing to your body, because at that point they must do everything possible to keep you alive, including breaking your ribs, which can affect other things in your life. So you be careful when you're doing these things. Another thing is to make sure that you have a will, that it's signed, and that it's notarized, and whoever the executor is going to be, make sure they know that they are the executor and that they are to take care of all of your business. Now, let's say most of the cases we talk about in case of death, my major concern is that most of us are not so much concerned about death, because when we're dead, we're gone. What if we just can't speak for ourselves, where we have a case of whether we're brain dead or just our organs are failing? At that point, someone has to be in there to be able to make a directive. And so you have to think about these individuals. You may have one or two. I usually say one person that you can trust that will do that, and then have a secondary, which is called contingent. But you need to put some things in place to make sure that, of course, what we know can happen in the part of death is that we start to fight, families start to fight, and the most unusual people come about and want to deal with our estates and where things go. And they'll say, well, Auntie told me I was going to get this, or Uncle said I could have this, and so, and it keeps the fight going. So to prevent that from happening, put it in writing. If at the least, write it out and get it notarized. At least there'll be something there to work from. But I would suggest always get your will, which is your last will and testament. Make sure you have a living trust. If I can't speak for myself, I still get to talk, because you have directives of what I want. Power of attorney, which is called the financial power of attorney, and then there's the general power of attorney. The financial power of attorney allows someone to basically do your finances. The general power of attorney has them to act for you in certain circumstances and speak for you. The key is that if those exist, then that person has the right to talk. But upon your death, the power of attorney dies with you. And that's when the executor comes forward. The other thing is the health surrogate, the health care surrogate, to know what you want and how you want to be treated while you're ill and can't speak for yourself. And of course, last but not least, the HIPAA form. Now, one thing I want to call attention to, because a lot of people, we're in the month of January, children are getting ready to go to college or get ready to prepare to be admitted into college. When that child turns 18 years old, you don't have any rights to know anything about that child. The child is no longer a child, it's an adult at 18. So as you're preparing to send your children to college, please be aware that they need to sign a HIPAA form releasing so that you can get information on them in case of illness. They need a financial power of attorney because in case, even though you're paying for the school, you don't have a right to ask for their grades and what's going on with them. They're an adult. So therefore you need specifically those two forms filled out so that you can get information. I'll give you an example of why. I had a person describe her situation. Her son was sick and she felt funny about it. He was in college and she said something wasn't right. But the school refused to go in and check on him or tell her what was going on. She talked to him. He says he's fine. All of a sudden, she says that mother intuition came in and she went to the school. When she got to the school, she found out that he was having a nervous breakdown at the age of 19. She couldn't get anything done until she got her child dubbed incompetent because she had no health proxy. She had no power of attorney with him because he was over 18. And if she hadn't taken that mother intuition and had to go get him dubbed incompetent, she would not have a son today. So sometimes we've got to take drastic steps. And especially when you paying the tuition or you paying the rent, you need to make sure, even though that child turned 18, they understand that you need to be able to be there and help them. So this is just one note. And in addition to it, which we'll discuss later because time is of the essence today, but I didn't want the day go by without getting a chance to talk to everyone, is that life insurance paired with the documents I spoke of before will make a difference going to the future and making sure that you have your affairs in order. We sleep a lot better when we have our affairs in order. It's not a death sentence because sometimes in our community we think if we put everything down in writing we're preparing to die. I like to liken this to the same way as we all know when they say it's going to rain and we go take our umbrella out and we travel with it, it doesn't rain. But that one day we decide we're not going to take the umbrella, it rains on us. So for your life and putting your assets together and making sure that your family's not arguing at your death, put your stuff in order and make sure that you do not, if you're going to have minor children as beneficiaries on any of your policies or your pensions or whatever, make sure that it's going into some type of trust so that it has a potential to grow, and also that the child can benefit from it and the person who's taking care of them can also assist them properly. So that's a few tips I had today. I hope that helps some people.
Yeah, I got a question for you.
Yes.
Real quick. There was a story I heard about someone who had a will, but the will didn't match the insurance policy, the names of the insurance policy, and how important that is for everything to match. So whatever's on the insurance policy counts. Whatever's on the will doesn't count.
The thing is that insurance policies are not probatable, which means they don't have to go to the will unless there is no beneficiary placed on an insurance policy. So whoever is placed on that as the beneficiary on that insurance policy, that will definitely precede anything that's on the will. If the will says that all assets are to be divided equally, and the insurance policy says it goes as far as the estate, then yes. But why would you do that? Because now that's including and expanding your estate and causing more tax for yourself. Instead of doing it, just make sure that your beneficiaries are correct. Now, there are things like your house, your car, your jewelry, some of those things, yes, those will be part of your estate, and that will be divided as per what your will tells them to do. So that's the difference. Certain things, like your pension, it has a beneficiary on it. If it has no beneficiary, and make sure that it's updated, because when we first get our job, we usually put our parents down. But as we get older...
Or your spouse.
At that time. And then as things change, your parents die, or your spouse changes. If you don't change your beneficiaries, it will go to the person or to their estate. So if you have it as your parents and they're long gone, it will go, as far as the pensions and the insurances, will go to your parents' estate and then be divided. If they didn't have a will, then it's going to be divided amongst people you may not want to have that money. So update your standings as far as beneficiaries are concerned, and also your will. If you had a major life event, then such as a child is grown now, you don't need the portion of the guardianship being there. Okay, so upgrade it. You know, if you want to make sure that your 18-year-old doesn't end up with $1 million from your policy, put some things in place, whereas maybe it'll go into a trust instead and be distributed to them. Because I had a situation years ago, one of my first times I was doing financial planning, and an 18-year-old did inherit over $1 million, and basically within a 3-year period, he had nothing, because he couldn't. Once he found out at 18 he had the ability to get that money, he spent it, you know. And so that's a dangerous thing to do. Some people are not ready for it. I have clients of mine, we've set up trust so to make sure that the child doesn't really get full money until they're in their 30s, you know, where they sort of settled. And then also sometimes we don't want it where our children, we want them to have it and go down our family line and not necessarily go down the line of a spouse. You know, these are the things you have to think about and put in place.
All right, another question that I had, that's one of my pet peeves, maybe you can touch on it, is, my brain, I just lost my thought. You get a, godparents. Godparents. Picking the right god. Do not pick your best friend as your godparent because you hang out the clubs with her or he all the time. Godparents are very important. So can you espouse on that for a moment?
Godparents are interesting because in New York State we do recognize the position of a godparent because it happens to be on the spiritual side. So, you know, but you have to make sure, like I said, is there may be a person who is fantastic with children and love the child. They just happen to not be good with money. So you definitely want to make sure you have the right people in place. The person who may be very good with money may not be that great with children because they out in the club hanging out and doing things and want to live their life. So they're not really going to be the proper person to be a guardian, but they're really good with money. So you have to really examine and interview people and find out who is in position to help your child in case you're not around, because that's what they're there for.
All right, if anybody on board right now has a quick question, just type it in real quick and I'll get Jana to answer it if possible. If not, then we'll have to come back another day. But if anybody got anything quick they want to say or a question they want to ask that deals with insurance, deals with estate planning, now's your time.
And I know we had some situations with insurance. I am going to do one where I'm going to break down the insurances
that's important.
again, because I see that a lot of people use insurance and they think about it's just for the death and it's over with. And there's so many other reasons and basically why the wealthy use insurance all the time. So I will come back and talk about that. But we do need to have some type of insurance, because I sure am very much tired of hearing about the GoFundMe accounts.
Yeah, if I had one more GoFundMe account for somebody's death.
And fish fry. I found out that's the other one we use. And I just think that we need to put our lives in order, especially with what's all coming down the pipelines and how much the government is involved in our lives and what's going on in the administration that we have right now. We need to make sure that we're able to take care of ourselves, build legacies, do not just leave debt to the family. Leave a legacy so that it can go on, and make sure they know what to do with it. People get an inheritance, they're there with bated breath trying to get money, but just to spend it on stuff that's unnecessary. Don't do that. Just don't do it. Let's put our stuff in order, put our assets in order, and also to invest our money properly. We have an all-time high in the market. It is a time, past the time, that you make sure your investments are proper.
All right. Well, it's no questions. I guess we'll end this segment right now. Y'all were listening to the Queen of Green, Miss Jana B. Woodhouse, the financial guru to the stars, and to anybody that will listen and has any common sense. So, we'll see you guys next time. We're not sure what the next time will be, but it'll be soon because it's tax season. And maybe we'll do some on taxes too.
Because tax season officially, the e-filing starts Monday.
Mm-hmm. We e-filing and not
refund anticipation.
All right, Charles, a quick question. What's your thoughts on naming the trust as the beneficiary of the life insurance policies?
Naming a trust as the beneficiary, like I said, is if it's a case of where there's specifically a minor child, or the fact that you want to make sure that the money is not frivolously spent, or that the person who's receiving it is really not going to do right with the money, trust is necessary. It is very necessary. And if you don't have enough to fund it, the executor can be instructed by the will, to set up the trust. And some of the trust, if it's not a revocable trust, and we can talk about that too, is between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust. If it's a revocable trust, it really doesn't cost that much to put together. You can honestly, from my standpoint, I have a few different vehicles, but we do have a company called Net Law that does it for $500, your entire package, and your spouse is free. And in some cases, you buy one, get one free. There's things out there. There's also some online. You have, I think, LegalZoom and all. But you want to make sure that it address your wills, your trust, all address the state that you're living in. That's very important.
Okay. Charles said minor child. I'm assuming he's talking about the trust going to a minor child. In my opinion, I believe that children shouldn't get their trust until they're 25 or 30, at least. Give them a chance to grow up, learn some stuff. Hopefully you're teaching them stuff.
But you can put things in stages.
Right.
So that the guardian has access, because everybody can love the child, but I hate to put it this way, a child with money makes it a lot easier to help raise them. So yes, if you have a minor child, you might want to start allowing them to have a certain amount that they'll be able to attain, or the guardian can attain, and that can be instructed through your will, what you want set up. The thing is that, like, for example, I have a client of mine, she has a trust, and her grandchildren are the beneficiaries, but they will not receive a dime if they don't show a certificate of higher learning. They don't have to have a graduate degree, but they have to have some type of certificate of higher learning. And they don't get it all at once. They will get a portion at age, I think, 21, and then they get another portion when they turn 35. When you know that there's a lump sum of money, sometimes it's better to speak from the grave.
It's funny that you say that. There's a lot of unknown facts. A lot of the wealthy, people like the Kennedys and others, they have to do something. That's why a lot of them become lawyers and teachers.
Well, the thing is, with the Kennedy Trust, the way that it's set up, you don't benefit from it unless you do civil service. Mm-hmm. So most of them became civil servants. They went into politics. They have to do service. And so that's a beneficial. The objective, I think, was in the masters of the Kennedy family was to make sure that people stay out of trouble, which didn't always work, but at least it did give some kind of level to work from. You can set it up however you want. The key is that, no, I don't believe a person 18 should have access to a wealth of money. They don't understand money, even if they have been educated by you. The 66% of Americans are financially illiterate. So that means that there's only approximately a third of individuals who really know how money works. So until we become educated and learn how money works and know how to interview a financial advisor and work with that person, but don't, like Oprah says, you sign your own checks. I agree with it. You be involved in your money. And to really understand how that works, you need to have a little age on you too. When we're young, we look at it, we want to get the fanciest cars, and sometimes even when we go through our mid-age life crisis, we want to do it again. We want to buy. We need to invest. Why? Because we are going to live long. It's projected that the average person can live anywhere from age 85 to 120. What kind of lifestyle are you going to have if you haven't put away money for that? So you've got to be attentive to now and to the future. And there are investments that are out there as little as $10 that you can put in to invest in the market. And I will be talking about that too. But the thing is that you've got to structure your life. Because you don't want to be in a situation where, you're looking and you don't even know where your next meal is coming from. It doesn't have to be like that. Just by putting a little bit away at a time.
All right, cool. All right, so I guess that's it for today. We want to thank you guys for coming in. Please share this video. Share it with all your friends. Let them know next time we're coming on. I'll try to let you guys know in advance. It's my fault running around today and flew down here to the office real quick to do this with Jana. But I'll try to let people know in advance,
And also, if they want to know something specific or want me to address, please let us know.
Yeah, just comment and, on the video later. It'll be up. Or, send an email, hit Jana up, hit me up. Let us know, and we'll cover it in the next video chat. All right, guys, we're out.
Thank you.
So, Jana, thank you. First day with the new lips. Sorry, guys. Jana, thanks a lot for doing this again, being a part of what we're doing. Real quick, Charles says my estate will also be comprised of multiple rental properties. Will creates trust, and trust states the insurance policy will pay off any possible outstanding mortgage debts and residual disbursements.
That's good.
Beneficiaries to beneficiaries of costs. Cool. That's good, wonderful. Charles. Real good, brother. That's good. Yeah, that was a good move, bro. Yeah, Kyrie, you were late, brother. You were late. Got to catch back up on this. All right, Charles, good move, bro. All right, we're out. Jana's going. I'm going. See you guys later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, peace.